Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with more horrible Haydn, this time from Antonini. It's such a shame that the 300th anniversary of Haydn's birth in 1732 is going to be celebrated by all of these period instrument people who just feel this desperate need to do something with the music. And the doing is usually stupid and anti-musical. And, this is not as bad as Adam Fischer's Haydn London Symphonies. It's not. But it's also really not good, because the things that they decide to do are either unnecessary or unpleasant or both. This particular disc, which is volume 16 in their complete cycle, contains Symphonies 98, 94, the Surprise, and 90. And these are wonderful symphonies. I was so happy to hear a new recording of 90 coming along, because it's just a thrilling work. It really is, with its high horns and C major and the hilarious finale. And it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, okay. What's the problem with this? Well, the problem with this, first of all, let's do what we always do and take a look at the ridiculous art, because this series is littered with pretentious and completely witless booklet things that are just, well, let's see what we have in store now. My favorite, you'll see in a minute. Here we go. Here we are. Look at these two photos. I mean, we've got the house on its side. I don't know what that is. I mean, I don't know what that is. It's like a blockhouse that fell apart or something in the middle of a desert. And then we've got this birdhouse on a stick, this thing, at the beach, sort of. And then let's see. Wait a minute. There's like lots more. There's more beach. Well, you've got this rather interesting sort of rock formation. I don't know where they found that. I mean, that's kind of curious, isn't it? And then we've got the cabanas, the cabanas at the awful beach that have been destroyed and are decaying and falling apart. I mean, what is this? What has any of this to do with Haydn? And then we've got person with dog at beach or in the desert or wherever they are with wind, and cute little girl running through the sand. There she is. Isn't she adorable? And wait a minute. We were not done. There's even more. Oh, this one is a mess. Look at this one. Here's the person in the tent with the 3 cows. Moo. And then my favorite, and this is the last one. This is the transparent ghost donkey. It's either a donkey or a rabbit. I'm not quite sure what it is. It's got floppy ears. I think it's a donkey that you can see through, with scenes of apocalyptic urban destruction in the background. I don't know if they're destroyed, but we might as well imagine that they are. I mean, look, what is this? Who the hell knows? Okay, so we get that. Then we've got, let's see, Antonini's words. Wait a minute. Here we have his comment. I just want to read a little bit of this. Articulation and rhythmic inequality, are also fundamental elements of the performance practice of 18th century music. In their absence, and especially on modern instruments, many performers quite legitimately choose to play the fast movements of Haydn's music at high speed, which produces an effect of sparkling brilliance, but also entails a loss of rhetorical and discursive content. I agree with that. I don't think we need to play Haydn lickety-split. I really don't. And I don't think that the instruments of his day could actually do it as fast as a lot of period instrument-influenced people do it now. For example, Adam Fischer. But why then does he take all the minuets at such a ridiculous tempo? He takes the minuets, which are marked allegro, faster than the finales, which are marked presto. And that is absurd. It's hypocrisy. It's unmusical. It's disgusting. It's the worst thing about this disc, are those minuets. They are beyond awful. Harnoncourt did a couple of them that way too, and they were just ridiculous. But to play it at that, it's just. I mean, they talk and then they do, and the talk is bullshit and the doing is even more bullshit. I mean, that's the problem with these performances. There's so much pretense, so much pompousness, so much arrogance, and so little simple, elegant, inspired musicality. Yes, that's what we want, isn't it? But we could do a few more details. Not all of this is horrible, mind you. I mean, the surprise movement, the surprise symphony, that goes quite well. It really does. Aside from the horrible minuets, number 98, well, he uses a harpsichord at the end of the finale. And I always find, quite frankly, it's better to use a forte piano because that's what Haydn had. I mean, if you know what he did, if you know what he had, why not do what he had or do what he did? Anyway, so they use a harpsichord as if it matters. And as usual with the finale of 98, which is very tricky, the finale of 98 is very tricky because although it's marked presto, the tempo seems to slow down for the, tinkly harpsichord bit for the coda. But the truth of the matter is it's actually doubling in speed because Haydn writes in faster note values. So while the tempo is a little slower, the note values are twice as quick. So it actually gives the impression of speeding up. And so you can't take that initial presto so quickly that the coda is going to sound slower, or you don't have room to speed up, which is what happens here, of course. I mean, they always screw that up. Then we've got, let's see, number 90. Well, we've got number 90, which, like I said, is thrilling. And it goes okay for the most part. Except for the minuet, which is horrendous. And the horns are nice, and the trumpets and drums are nice, and so that's okay. The finale could have better timing. It's got all kinds of funny things happening in it, and, but I'm not going to get into that. You also get, for some reason, the overture to Rossini's La Scala di Seta, which is actually roughly contemporary. I mean, it's a decade and a half or so later than the London symphonies, but it's around the same period. So that's charming to have. It's nice to have. But here's the catch. The orchestra, and you hear this particularly in the Rossini, I think, which I adore. I love that piece. It's hilarious. It's so Haydn-esque. The orchestra seems to be the combined Il Giardino Armonico and the Kammerorchester Basil. It looks like they've put them together. And the interesting thing is when they're not playing lickety-split fast, which they certainly have the capability to do, they sound rather labored, like they're having a hard time with the music. Not labored in the sense that the music expresses struggle. I mean labored, like dogged. And I don't know why that's the case. I mean, I understand his desire to take other tempos, like in the initial allegros, a little bit slower than normal, which I think is wonderful. Bruggen did that all the time too, and it was terrific. But here, the result just doesn't have sparkle or elan. It just sounds sort of tired. And you really hear that in the Rossini. I mean, that's the place where you're going to get it because the allegro has that wild oboe solo. These are not the greatest players in the world. Who are we kidding? And, you hear the struggle, for the winds and the strings. And I mean, the performance itself is not terrible, but it's certainly not great. And so here we have, like I said, not as bad as Adam Fischer, but a mixture of things that make sense, a mixture of things that make no sense, and a general, it's like everybody's working too hard for the wrong cause. I don't know how else to describe it. I found it tiresome. And Haydn is never, ever, ever tiresome. Others may listen to this and love it. It's never been a recording of the world that, people have hated or that I've hated that someone hasn't loved somewhere. But they could do better. It's so easy to do better. It really is. And this has really disturbed me because they should be doing better. There's no excuse for it. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.